Welcome to the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Thursday, July 29th. Over the next few days, we will see a decrease in thunderstorm activity, although today thunderstorms will be pushed further east over the eastern half of the Great Basin and still be scattered. So we will see gusty outflow winds and brief heavy rain from some of these storms, especially in the higher elevations. As we move into Friday, thunderstorm activity will significantly decrease, but still some isolated storms in parts of central and eastern Idaho and Wyoming, and even into eastern Utah as moisture lingers. By Saturday, we'll see even less thunderstorm activity. However, we will see a ridge off the west coast building into the Great Basin Friday and Saturday, so temperatures will be increasing and will become very hot this weekend with valley temperatures over western areas of the Great Basin near 100 degrees and near 110 down south. This heat will continue to expand eastward later in the weekend into early next week. Over the last 24 hours, we saw scattered thunderstorms still over the northern half of the Great Basin with a mix of wetter and drier storms, but again, increased relative humidity and still relatively cool temperatures. Great Basin fire activity yesterday was light with smaller fires reported across parts of Utah and even up into central Idaho and western areas of the Great Basin and down south. Over the last 7 days, precipitation has been focused over the northern half of the Great Basin with these showers and thunderstorms, with much of central Idaho seeing above normal precipitation, but really scattered areas of precipitation has been hit or miss further south. Looking at our current 100-hour fuel charts, you can see 100-hour fuel moisture has decreased significantly over eastern areas of the Great Basin and is now near or even just below normal. The satellite loop from this morning shows the area of low pressure that's been generating these showers and thunderstorms is moving over central areas of the Great Basin. So again, this will push the moisture further east today. This area of low pressure will continue moving eastward as the ridge off the west coast continues to build into the Great Basin. So later this afternoon, again, the moisture moves over mainly eastern areas of the Great Basin. Anything further west into Nevada or Idaho would be very isolated, with more scattered activity in the higher terrain of Utah and up into Wyoming. Significant fire potential will remain low to moderate, and generally that low to moderate will be in the southern areas with still low fire potential elsewhere across the Great Basin. Relative humidity will drop below 10% still over the southern areas of the Great Basin, but will increase across parts of Utah as that moisture moves eastward today, especially in the higher terrain. Winds will be significantly decreased from what we've seen the last couple of days in the southern and eastern areas of the Great Basin, with generally just low to moderate winds. Again, we will see those gusty outflow winds near thunderstorms. Temperatures, again, will be on the rise starting today, but still remain generally in the 80s in the valleys, with the exception of down in the far south. Looking at the weather pattern for Friday, the area of low pressure now moves well to the east into the Rockies, and we see that ridge really building into the Great Basin, bringing those hotter and drier conditions. So we will see our significant fire potential map change each day, with areas of yellow creeping further north into Nevada and Utah, and we even have some critical areas over southern Nevada. Relative humidity will continue to drop across the Great Basin, with most areas in the south below 10%. Other areas we will see between 10 and 15% over much of Nevada, and then still above 20% further north into Idaho and Wyoming on Friday. Wind gusts will generally be light on Friday as the ridge builds in. Temperatures will again continue to increase. We will see highs reaching the mid-90s over western areas of the Great Basin and even up into the lower elevations of Idaho, reaching the upper 80s in Utah and then over 100 degrees down in southern Nevada. Saturday, the ridge just continues to build in. We will have continued lingering moisture Friday and Saturday for some isolated thunderstorms, but coverage will certainly be less than what we have been experiencing. So any thunderstorms we see Saturday will likely be across parts of the northern areas of the Great Basin with drier conditions elsewhere. Relative humidity drops to below 10% over parts of western and northern Nevada going into Saturday with these hot temperatures, and relative humidity will continue to decrease over other areas of the Great Basin. Winds under the ridge will still remain light, though, on Saturday. Temperatures will probably peak out at about 100 degrees over western areas of Nevada by Saturday, so this would be our first 100-degree temperature of the year. Down south, we'll be approaching 110, and we'll even see the mid to upper 90s over Idaho and the 90s finally into parts of Utah. 3-day precipitation, most of this precipitation will occur today with these thunderstorms, and any precipitation beyond today will be very isolated with thunderstorms and very spotty. As we move into Sunday, the ridge remains in place across the Great Basin. We might start to see some zephyr winds pick up along the Sierra front by Sunday as the ridge starts to move eastward with a trough moving into the north. Otherwise significant fire potential, we will continue to see drying conditions with moderate fire potential in the far south and low to moderate fire potential further north. But again, we are seeing the drying conditions further north into Utah and Nevada. By Monday, the ridge continues to build eastward across the Great Basin. We'll likely see an increase in winds on the west side of this ridge for parts of southern Nevada going into Monday. And then by Tuesday, as the trough in the north shifts further east, we'll see a little bit more thunderstorm activity up into Idaho and gusty winds and dry conditions in southern areas. So we will be watching some of these southern areas on Monday and Tuesday as the winds pick up with these very dry relative humidities and the very hot temperatures to see if we need any high risk, especially with the holiday. And by Wednesday, still gusty winds and drier conditions in the far south. Again, we are seeing the more critical areas in the south, but we are seeing drying occurring further north as well. 7-day total precipitation is not much different than the 3-day, with much of any precipitation falling today and any thunderstorm activity being fairly isolated after that through the weekend. The 8 to 14-day outlook, taking us from July 6th through the 12th, shows generally near or above normal temperatures with the exception of cooler conditions into parts of Wyoming, and we will see a return to wetter conditions in the far north with drier conditions in the south. That concludes our webcast for today. Check back tomorrow for the latest updates.